that was intentionally done, and in some ways was meant as an homage to Zeppelin, or even more recently a band that I grew up loving, Danzig. Glenn Danzig's first 4 records are always referred to as 1 through 4. I think that when it came down to having a title for it, I had several titles that would have worked and would have been great titles, but it just felt like the self-titled was so much better, and then the obvious fun thing to do there is that it is the 4th record, and so it kind of came about organically, the whole 4 thing, because when you're in the studio, now in the age of social media, when you're making a record, you have to talk about making that record all the time. And probably previously to that, even when we first started making records, there wasn't so much of the demand on Twitter and everything else to be talking about it. But you would talk about it with your friends, and you would have to title it something, which is this new record that I'm working on. So to say the new record I'm working on probably isn't as much fun in the hashtag world, so the hashtag BBB4 started happening just kind of by, we needed a descriptor for the record. We needed something that would denote that there is a new record and it's called this. And the closer we got to releasing it, the less I felt like changing that hashtag, and the more I was like, well, I kind of like this 4 thing. I don't think that we sat down with the intention to write a song that had mass appeal, or to say this is our crossover song, because to be fair, in 2014, that's kind of a fool's errand to say we're going to write a crossover song for a hard rock band. Sort of like saying you're going to be a rotary phone salesman and you're going to paint your phones red now so people will buy them. The fact alone is that we are a rock and roll band, and that sometimes isn't the most popular thing in the world. So to say that we're going to cross over, it's nice, the idea that maybe more people would hear it, but you really want to write the best song that you can write, because at the end of the day, the records are going to sell what they're going to sell, and we've been very fortunate that we've had multiple top 10 records now. But by the same token, none of us are becoming millionaires off it, and we're not getting that kind of, oh, this is the song of the decade, and this is the song everybody's going to dance to at their high school prom and everything. And that's the intention, but it's just very unlikely. I guess that there is that kind of the line you walk of, do you want to make it seem to your fan base like you're trying to appeal to a broader fan base and that they're not good enough? I don't think that we've done that, but of course I wouldn't, right? Because I'm me, so I have to assume that I haven't done that, or otherwise I go insane. But I know what that's like, and there's certainly bands, I won't name any, but there's plenty of bands growing up that I had the experience with where I felt like, wow, we had a good thing going. Like, why'd you have to go and throw it away because you want the people that wouldn't like you anyway? But again, that really plays back to the bands that I remember when those things happened, and I remember being a fan, and I remember being perceptive enough to go, this isn't going to work, and then they're gone. My whole career, I've just wanted us to be the band that we want to be. And sometimes to do that, you have to make concessions when it comes to monetary gain. Again, we are not making millions of dollars off of records. We're not making $1 million off anything. So when it comes down to how do I get this tour on the road and everything else, when it comes to companies wanting to be endorsers or those kind of things, those maybe would be perceived as someone who has not had the years of experience or understanding how difficult it can be. Those might be perceived as being as sellout moments. But the reality is, I don't see it as a sellout when those people are helping pay for, I don't know, a video screen or whatever it is that's going to go on our stage and give our fans a better show. I've never once accepted a bunch of money for something I didn't believe in. I love the idea that Minor Threat would show up to shows and there wouldn't be a microphone there and he would just yell the lyrics and whatever. But that's not necessarily the show that I would want to give our fans. At this point in my career, I want to be able to show up and have a bunch of microphones and video screens and confetti and everything else because I want to give people that show. While I ultimately respect the punk rock ethic behind those other things, for me, at the end of the day, I would side probably more with the sellouts in terms of trying to get stuff done for my career. I'm obviously a huge Kiss fan, and they taught me so much about how to handle myself in terms of press and everything else when I was young that other bands I didn't see from other bands. I loved many other bands, but I wouldn't watch their interviews and feel a sense of like, wow, that guy's really on his game and understands what he's doing and seemingly is well spoken and understands the context in which he's speaking. Those two guys always had that. So apart from just the musical influence and everything else, one of the biggest influences I had in my whole life when it comes to even intellectual interest is Kiss, and particularly Gene and Paul Stanley. Our whole career is predicated on the idea that rock is not dead. I always, obviously there's this thing that Gene got a lot of mileage out of, which is, the whole, rock is dead thing, and I understand that was a wonderful quote for Mr. Simmons, and I also understand as a lifelong Kiss fan that he's been saying these things for years and years with the intent to grab the headlines, and I think that it's a little misinformed, but also I understand the context in which he was saying it. It's difficult for a band to succeed in this day and age. disagree wholeheartedly with the idea that rock and roll is dead because it's more of a spirit or an emotion that exists still within the people that I surround myself with. And again, if rock and roll were dead, truly, I would have a very difficult time paying my rent or my car payments or anything else, considering the fact that I'm in a rock and roll band and people buy our records. And again, it's not millions and billions, but it's enough for us to live comfortably enough to be able to go on the road and play those shows and to have a community of people that live off of that.